Hi, my name is Rachel France, and this video clip is to talk to you about what we call in biomechanics education the integrated system. The integrated system is made up of three subsystems: the skeleton, the muscles and the nerves. Obviously there's a lot more going on inside of us, but when we talk about biomechanics and human movement, those are the three basic subsystems that make up and produce movement. Now, we see things from the outside, obviously, in the way people move and how they perform tasks. But what impacts upon that is how we're stacked up on the inside. Now, our daily lifestyles today are quite different to what they were millions of years ago when we evolved into human beings. And there's another debate about where we started that can be had on another day. But quite simply, where we were hunter-gatherers and we were designed to do certain things with our body, we are no longer doing that. We are sitting at desks and driving and more sedentary, and everything you see out there is about making life easier, but actually that makes us less mobile. So what happens is we get these low-grade aches and niggles that kind of creep up from nowhere, and seemingly everybody has them, and it's becoming normal. It's common, it's not normal. So what I would like to do here is just explain to you about the integrated system and the way it works, or the way we think it works, and how you may be getting problems in one area, but it's actually stemming from another. Now, all of this is a hypothesis because we don't actually really know what's happening inside the body objectively, because once you start putting cameras in there and EMGs and rigging people up to machinery, it can change things. But we're making this hypothesis from research that's done over a long period of time on several different subjects, and when you do an input you get an output, and that repeated seems to happen more often than not. So let me just explain one small problem that can contribute to several compensations from these hypotheses. So your pelvis should move in several ways. It can move or tilt forwards and backwards, and it can also rotate from side to side. Now, when we walk and move and run and use legs independently, we get a rotation around this joint inside here. But what happens is when we sit for long periods of time, we have a collection of small muscles inside the hip here that cross this joint, and the body is trying to evolve to the fact that we're sitting at this sort of 90-degree angle at the hip more often than not, or for longer periods. So the brain is thinking we should evolve these muscles to reserve energy. So the muscles move a little bit less, or they don't function as well, and this inhibits or creates a problem around this joint. So if you imagine when we walk through the gait cycle and the leg steps forwards, what will happen on this side of the pelvis, it will rotate up and back. And then as the leg steps backwards, it should rotate forwards and down. And the other side will move in the opposite way. So they work in combination. Now, if these muscles start to compensate at a certain point during that position, it can give the appearance of a functional leg length discrepancy. And more commonly, this is what people experience or have diagnosed or found in measurements when they're told they have a leg length discrepancy. The important part is that we understand whether it is functional or structural. If it's structural, you can't do anything. Don't worry about it unless you have symptoms, and then you would need to see a clinician. If it's functional, then ideally we want to get the hip moving better. But if we don't recognise this, then the compensations that might happen might go like this. So a descending biomechanical issue might be that as the hip is stuck rotated forwards and down, it creates the impression of a longer leg. So that as you're walking, this knee has to buckle in slightly to compensate for that fact. This can create problems like a sore knee, maybe a sore shin, or even soreness at the foot. So when you see a therapist who treats these problem areas, if it comes back repeatedly, they're not doing anything wrong. It may just be that the problem is coming from higher up, but resulting in discomfort lower down in the body. Now, another way that we could compensate for the same issue in the hip is that the pelvis from one side to the other sits off at an angle. And so this is an ascending biomechanical issue. What this can result in is potentially some functional scoliosis or curvature, lateral curvature through the spine. And of course, this can then potentially result in low back pain. This obviously is not a problem necessarily in the back. It's the root causes can be coming from the pelvis. So again, if you're trying to resolve a problem in the lower back and it's not going away, then it could be actually it's coming from the hip. And this hip area may not be uncomfortable at all. You may be completely unaware of it. And more commonly, we are not. This ascending problem can actually travel right up into the shoulder. So the body works in a kind of a chain, which is why we walk in this kind of rotation fashion, the way all the muscles and the tissues, etc., work and pull on the skeleton. And so you can have a sore shoulder, again, coming from the same area. So obviously, if you're getting treated for a shoulder problem, and it's not going away or it's coming back, it could well be that an exercise professional like a biomechanics coach could be working on the problem area here while you see a therapist who could also be a biomechanics coach for treatment on the shoulder. So really we need to be taking a whole body approach to any insidious low-grade aches or niggles, or more importantly, any movement problems prior to us getting those problems. Now, the best person to see it would probably be a biomechanics coach, because this professional will be able to assess every area of the body from the pelvis, the spine, shoulders, knees and feet. And what biomechanics coaches do is they identify the areas of the body that don't move so well. They would then teach you some I Move Freely exercises that then correct the movement in that area. And this can potentially remove low-grade aches and niggles from other parts of the body. Now, you may still need to see a therapist to get treatment for the areas that are uncomfortable. We recommend that you do, and biomechanics coaches do work alongside other professionals to bring you a real whole-body holistic approach. So if you would like to see a biomechanics coach, then you can contact me, Rachel, at biomechanicseducation.com.